Raj and Kunal, because Kunal is such a wonderful person, to riff on him for a second. He's the most gracious, you know, because he doesn't speak to women and whatever, he has so much work to do where he never talks, where he's just sitting there. And, you know, you could really learn to bitch as a human being by having to sit there that long. And he is the nicest, gracious, unbitching, positive energied person you've ever met. Maybe a little wild for my taste, but you know, that's different. And so I guess I bring that up because I love working with him, and the one-on-one stuff is great too. So, oh, hi Netherlands. That was not the best answer I've given. Anyway.
Right down here.
Back to our country.
Hi. One of my favorite episodes was the Christmas episode that Penny gave you.
One of the best things they've ever done. It was a brilliant idea.
Have the writers tried, especially now because he recently announced that he's retiring, have they tried to get him on the show? Or
I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that question, if they've actually made an active effort or not. Back to our, do you know your guest stars? No, not till they show up. I do, I'll tell you something very funny. When the napkin, they were like, you know what? We should try and send these napkins to Leonard Nimoy and see if he'd sign them, and we could tell him we'll auction it off. And they did, you know, afterwards. So they sent him 2 napkins in case he messed up or whatever. He sent them back. One of them signed, the other one not signed, and we just thought, how funny, you know? Nope, I got it right. I won't be signing 2. Which, you know, I did my job, so we're done with 1 take. I don't know, that would be great. When we had Stan Lee on, though, we did introduce the fact that Sheldon has a restraining order, or Leonard Nimoy has one against Sheldon for that. So I don't know that I would actually get to work with him if he came on, or it would be quite a scene. I don't know. That would be lovely. You know, like I said, I didn't grow up. I still haven't watched Star Trek very much, but I have talked so much about it and about him in the past 3 years. And I know how important he is, and so many people who watch our show are so fond of him that for that reason alone, I would love it if we could, you know, it'd be somebody's dream come true. Mine too, Leonard, mine too. I just, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Like, that's the fun part about the show. It's like they have so many people that come on as themselves.
Yeah.
Simply because of that science fiction element. Like,
yeah.
You guys have all the, like, the Battlestar Galactica people will come on as,
yeah.
like, themselves.
We recently got cookies from Whoopi Goldberg. She said, oh, you make me laugh. And it was after production had wrapped, and so they sent us a picture of the cookies and a picture of the note, which is as much as they could do when you're not there. And I was like, when did Whoopi start watching our show? I mean, great, but what? And I talked to Simon, who plays Wallowitz. We talk all the time, and I was like, why did you think Whoopi Goldberg sent us cookies? He goes, I asked Will Wheaton in that episode, Whoopi Goldberg, did you ever hit that? I was like, oh, we made a direct sexual reference to Whoopi Goldberg. So I think that means Whoopi's still not completely watching the show. Somebody said, did you hear what they said about you on Big Bang? Fine, no press is bad press. It's probably not true. Anyway.
How about right down here?
Sheldon and Leonard have a roommate agreement.
Yes.
What would you put in a roommate agreement if you had one
In
with
real
your
life?
In real life, yes.
Coming from some experience in roommate situations, I think it's very important that you would lay down where you're going to put your checks every month for the landlord. Like, are they going to go on this counter here, you know, and when are they going? I speak of that because I was always the one late paying my rent. It's living on unemployment in New York, it's hard. But I always paid my late fees with it, and the landlord summarily said I was not welcome back. The other 2 were. They said specifically that Jim's not welcome to come back. Okay, thank you, fine. So I would lay that down, although you may not be able to get your rent in on time anyway. What are other important things? The common area should probably be kept under some sort of regulated, you know, cleanliness, or at least some sort of order, you know. I speak to that too. I was not always the nicest with that, you know. Food doesn't need to be left out as long as it sometimes gets left out, you know. And then other things in there were like, I don't think that a thermostat needs to be regulated. I really don't. I think you can fight that on a day-to-day basis, you know. And people do, you know. But we have... Oh, we haven't shown. There's an episode coming up. It's the start of what's going to be a flashback episode in a couple of weeks where you're going to see... This is so funny. You have no idea that this is coming. I really was thinking, I thought this episode had aired, which is why we're talking about this. No, there's a flashback episode coming where you see how all the guys met, how Leonard came to live in the apartment or whatever, and the creation of the roommate agreement. And it starts, I don't know, this isn't giving too much away, it starts over an absolute bitch fest fight over the setting of the thermostat. And we're talking the difference of like 2 degrees. And one of the lines in there was Leonard goes, "Oh, go to hell and set their thermostat." And Sheldon says, "It's 72 degrees, I'm already there." I don't think, other than rent and the common area, I think much needs regulating, unless you have bathroom issues, but you could put in an amendment later, once you knew the slob you were living with, you know.
Was speaking of the origin story, like, was that kind of how you had seen it play in your head, like, you know, when creating the character?
I hadn't thought about it. I swear to God, I hadn't thought about it. And I used to feel guilty about this as an actor, like, oh, I should be creating more of a backstory. Well, you know, not really. You know, it's the irritating old saying, if it's not on the stage, or if it's not on the page, it isn't on the stage, and that's irritating. But there is some truth to it in that I am what they say I am. You know, Sheldon is what he says he is, and he is revealing himself in good time. And, you know, I don't find certain, I have yet to come, knock on wood, in 3 years, I've yet to come across information that we're revealing where I'm like, well, that changes everything from the past 3. No, it doesn't. It's not like, well, I wouldn't have ever picked up this tick if I didn't know, whatever. I don't do that. Why did I do that? So I guess what I'm saying is, you know, and maybe that's part of it too. I'm leaving myself open to the revelation of new material. It doesn't go on, it doesn't jibe with what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking about that. I was only thinking about what we're doing here and right now. And, or maybe I'm lazy.
Right there? Sure. I'm like,
I was wondering, since the writers have an unusually large grasp on science and, you know, its constituents, is there ever a time when they tell you you're going to say something and you are like, wow, that's interesting, or, you know, that's cool to know, what's this about?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, all of it's interesting to a degree. Like, I didn't know that there was a Hadron Collider. I mean, I'd heard of that, but I didn't know where that was. It's in Switzerland. And things like that. But I'll be honest, a lot of it I don't know. I hate to think I'm an uncurious being. A lot of it I couldn't even begin to understand. Like, we have a physicist who we employ, who works at UCLA and now on our show as well, and he comes up with these, I guess they'll ask him, like, we need Sheldon to mention a theory of blah, 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 whatever, that would be a good thing to mention regarding a breakup of Leonard and Penny. And he'll be like, you know, and try this. He's back there writing on or telling them what to write on the whiteboards behind us, you know, theories that I don't know. Apparently there's sometimes inside jokes in them. You know. Who the hell knows? But it's so... What I will say, though, is that it's so nice to have someone to blame if something was wrong. But more importantly, that's not really come up. It's, as far as I know, it's all right. You know, we just did a story in the New York Times about, well, I'm not sure what it was about exactly, but it was something to do with, you know, science and things like that. And I taught.